Hi, I'm Rob, N1NUG. Today, I need to fix the cord on my Yaesu MH48 microphone that goes with my Yaesu FT2900 back here. I had planned on checking into the nightly net on my club repeater last night, but when I tried to key up the radio, it wouldn't key up. After some quick troubleshooting, I realized that the connector end that plugs into the radio was messed up. So I've already cut it off of here, but we'll take a closer look at it in a minute. Now there's two ways to fix this problem, an easy way and a hard way. The easy way, at least in my mind, is to replace the whole cord. You can find these on Amazon. And in fact, I'm going to show you how to do that at the end of the video. But first we're going to do the hard way, and that is to actually replace the connector on the end of the existing wire. If you've got the connectors and the right tools, it really isn't all that hard to do. So let's take a look at that now. Here's a look at the old connector, which I've obviously already cut off of the microphone wire. Now what ended up happening with this, I think, is that the little plastic piece that's right in here that crimps down on the outer sheathing of the microphone cable sort of broke off. It used to be in here, it's since fallen out, but when it was in here, it was preventing the jack from seating all the way into the radio's connector, and therefore the radio wouldn't key up. Now once I realized what was going on, I kind of popped that little plastic piece out of here so it was no longer protruding. But without it in here, the connector fits loose in the radio and still doesn't make a good connection. Now for comparison's sake, here is a look at a good microphone connection which does work in the radio. And hopefully you can see that little plastic piece is still in there and intact. This connector is called an RJ12, and it's similar to an RJ11, which you would use on an old style phone line. The difference being that all 6 positions have contacts loaded in them. The old phone style connections have 6 positions, but only 4 contacts are loaded. Now I already happen to have on hand some RJ12 connectors and the crimper that I need to make the connection. Now the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to trim my wire using my crimpers. You can see there is a set of razor blades on the crimpers. This side will cut the end of the wire flush, and this side, as you can see when the crimper is engaged, leaves a little bit of a gap, and that will score the sheathing on the wire so that we can pull it off and the exposed inner wires will be at the right length. So while I'm holding this, I'm going to give this just a little bit of a twist to try and make sure that I get that sheathing scored. Now, as you might imagine, it didn't quite get the sheathing all the way, so I'm just going to gently get the little remaining pieces with a razor knife. And now I can slide that outer sheathing off. Now, as I fan this out, you can see there's also some cotton strings in here, and these are sort of used to help get the individual wires through the sheathing in the manufacturing process. Now in fact, some of these are just kind of pulling out as I kind of arrange them over here, but the remaining ones that are still intact, I'm just going to snip them to get them out of the way. Now one thing to keep in mind is the white wire, the one that carries the audio from the actual microphone element, is usually sort of a coaxial arrangement and has this braided shield around it. So what we need to do is grab these copper strands and twist them together so that they form one wire. Now that I've got the shield wires sort of gathered together here, what I actually want to do is try to cut the number of strands almost in half. And the reason for that is because we need to keep this wire fairly thin so it'll fit in the channel of the connector. Hopefully you can see what I've done here. I've got about 1/3 of the wire twisted and stretched so it's nice and thin and tightly wound. And I've left the other 2/3 of the wire kind of over here. It's not quite twisted together yet. If all goes well with this piece, we're going to end up cutting this piece off. I've just left it here for now in case I make a mistake over here. But what I'm going to attempt to do now is reflow just a small amount of solder along this thin wire to keep the strands together and also to give it some stiffness so that it'll push into the connector. I've got just a little bit of solder on the end of my soldering iron tip, and I'm just heating the wire up and letting it wick that solder into the strands. And then I'm just running the soldering iron down the wire to prevent any solder blobs from forming. We want this as kind of straight as possible. Now that the wire is tinned up with solder and looks like it's going to work okay, I'm actually going to cut the rest of this bulk out of here so it's not in the way. Before we do any more work with the wires, I need to establish how the wires need to be arranged in the connector. So you can see I've got the old one and I've got the tongue facing down on my hand. And if I take a look at this from left to right, I can see the colors of the wires. Now, in case it's not focusing well in the camera, the sequence is blue, white, shield, red, gray, green. So with that pattern in mind, I'm going to untangle these wires and arrange them in that order. Unfortunately, the camera wasn't recording for the last step, but I'll talk you through what you missed. I got all the wires arranged in the right sequence, but then they were all slightly different lengths. So all I did was take my cutters and cut everything so they're the same length and even on the end. So now I should be able to bring the connector in and work these wires into it. Now it's not going to be visible in the camera probably, but there are little channels for each wire to guide it underneath each of the contacts here. This is going to take several tries and some patience. These connectors work a whole lot better with solid copper network wire than they do with stranded microphone wire. This took several tries to get all the wires pushed all the way in and in the right sequence. I kept having trouble with the gray wire pushing out, but I think I've got them all now. I'm going to double check with my magnifier, make sure that I've got everything seated and in the right sequence. I've double checked everything and made sure it's correct. Now that I'm happy, I'm going to crimp this and see what happens. Because this is a family channel, I edited out all the swearing that occurred right after the last clip when the wires pulled out of the connector inside the crimper. After several more attempts of trying to get these wires into the connector, I saw that the ends were all mashed up and preventing the wires from going into the channels. So I had to start over. So with a fresh, clean cut of wires here, hopefully we can get this in without too much trouble. So I think I've got all the wires pressed all the way in and they're in the right order once more. The only problem this time is that the black sheathing is cut just slightly too far back. I'm not sure that the strain relief is going to crimp down on it, but we'll see what happens. This time, I'll prime the crimper to make sure it's fully relaxed so that when I put this thing in here, it doesn't pull it back out. Now for the moment of truth. That actually doesn't look too bad. I think the strain relief did catch the black sheathing just a little bit. So let's head over to the radio and see if this works. Place your bets in the comments now as to whether or not this is gonna work. N1 NUG testing. Yeah, the buttons work too. Okay, so I think this microphone cord is back in service. N1 NUG clear. So that obviously worked, but it wasn't easy, at least not for me. If this was a task that you did all the time, you might develop some dexterity for it. But for me, it was fiddly. It took over an hour and 2 tries to kind of get that to work right. But now that it's fixed, and I didn't really have to spend anything because I already had the connectors and the tool on hand. If I didn't already have the crimpers and connectors, I don't know that I would have went out and bought them to just do this job. You could argue that if you have them on hand, then you can repair microphones at will when they break. But I will say that in over probably 15 years of owning different radios that use the RJ12 style microphone connector, this is the first time I've ever had to fix one. So unless I needed the crimpers especially for some other project, again, I don't think I'd run out and buy them. But being a YouTuber with an Amazon affiliate store, I of course will leave a link below to these very crimpers in case you want to buy a set to have on hand. But again, I don't recommend it unless you're going to be replacing microphone ends all the time. Now that we've gotten through replacing the RJ12 connector, I want to show you what I think is the easier and arguably more economic way to fix this, especially if you don't already have the crimpers. And that is to replace the cord itself. This entire microphone cord is available on Amazon, at least in December of 2024, for under $11. And of course, I will leave a link for that down below in case you want to check it out. But now, let's take the mic over to the bench and I'll show you how easy it is to swap the cord. In order to get the old wire off of the microphone, we just have to remove the 3 screws that hold the back on. 2 down here and 1 right here. And of course, when this one comes off, the mic holder comes with it. Now that the screws are removed, we can pull this apart. But I'm going to kind of pull on this gently, just in case there's any springs or other loose parts in here that end up falling out. Now at the bottom, it's a little bit of a tight fit because it's held together on the strain relief of the wire itself. So that requires a little bit of force, as you saw, but the back will pop right off. The mic wire comes into the strain relief, and then immediately on the other side, all of the individual wires go into this connector. So to remove the wire, all we have to do is disconnect this connector. So obviously, this is now disconnected, and we can put the new one in place. Here's what the wire looks like in its packaging. Now again, I'll leave a link to this down below in case you're interested in learning more, but make sure you double check and get the right wire for your application. This one might not be it. Here's the old wire and the new wire side by side. Now physically, they're about the same thing and the same length, except for the fact that on the old wire I've chopped a few inches off trying to replace this connector. But other than that, they're about the same physically. Although the new one, I can tell that the materials are what I'd say an order of magnitude lower quality than what's on the old one. Nevertheless, it should still work. Now this strain relief is slightly rectangular, meaning this dimension is thinner than this dimension. We want to seat this in so that the wider dimension engages with the microphone body. Now I can plug in the connector. I'm going to orient it so that what I'll call the smooth side, or the side that you can't see the contacts on, is facing the top of the microphone. You probably already noticed that the push-to-talk bar had fallen out when I took this apart, so I'm going to put that back in. And then we'll replace the back of the microphone, making sure that everything lines up like it should, especially the strain relief down here at the bottom. Always keep in mind that when you're dealing with screws going into plastic, not to over-tighten them, otherwise you'll strip out the plastic. Okay, and that's it. Let's test it out on the radio. Okay, moment of truth. Let's see if it works. And it looks like it does. Along with the buttons and everything else. Now, I didn't test it before on the other cable, but apparently when I reassembled this, I turned the backlight on somehow, but obviously that's working here too. I assume it was working on the other cable as well. N1 NUG testing and clear. Replacing the entire wire is a whole lot easier than replacing just the RJ12 connector. I think it took less than 5 minutes working time to swap that all out, and then I was back in business. Now, if you've got the tools, the time, and the patience, replacing the RJ12 is definitely an option. If you don't, the replacement wire from Amazon may be the way you want to go. Either way, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.